Two groups.
Two.
Muscle of facial expression and muscle of mastication.
So muscles of facial expression are innervated by?
Facial nerve.
And muscles of mastication are innervated by?
The maxillary nerve.
Mandibular.
No, mandibular, sorry.
They can send you immediately out. So you get no chance if you say maxillary nerve. Mandibular nerve, which division?
The third division of
Which
trigeminal.
Which division of mandibular nerve?
The anterior division.
Yeah, anterior division, which is motor. Okay, Abdullah, you tell me what is the sensory innervation of the face?
Sensory innervation, it's a trigeminal nerve. It has three branches, ophthalmic, maxillary, mandibular, ophthalmic.
Okay, it's enough.
Okay.
Olivia, you tell me which branch of maxillary nerve you can find in nasal cavity?
In nasal cavity.
So it should be a connection between pterygopalatine fossa and nasal cavity. What's that connection?
The sphenopalatine
Yes,
nerve.
it's sphenopalatine nerve. Okay, Abdullah, you tell me a branch of maxillary nerve in the oral cavity.
Maxillary?
Yeah, in the oral cavity.
In the oral cavity, we have posterior alveolar nerve.
So they are for the teeth in the oral cavity, in the palate.
Oh, okay. We have greater and lesser palatine nerves.
Okay, good. So let's start. Do you have any questions?
No.
What about you, Olivia? No?
No.
Okay, so we're going to talk about innervation of the glands, which is autonomic innervation. So let me find a good picture in your book. Plate 46 and 45. Okay. So, we're going to talk about autonomic innervation. You know, when you talk about autonomic innervation, we need two types of fibers, sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers. Where can we get sympathetic fibers from in the body? From which part of the spinal cord?
Cranial.
Sympathetic or thoracolumbar.
Thoracolumbar.
So you can get sympathetic fibers from thoracolumbar part of the spinal cord. What about parasympathetic fibers?
Cranial.
Craniosacral.
Yes, they're craniosacral. So either from cranial nerve or from sacral part of the spinal cord. But not all of the cranial nerves can carry parasympathetic fibers. Just the nerve number 3, which is oculomotor, 7, which is
7 facial nerve.
9, which is
Glossopharyngeal.
glossopharyngeal, and 10, which is
Vagus.
vagus. So just 3, 7, 9, 10 can carry parasympathetic fiber. For example, you saw in abdomen and thorax that parasympathetic fibers for heart, for organs in abdomen are carried through vagus. Do you remember?
Yeah, vagus.
So this was 10. 3 carry the fibers for the eye. You learn next semester in neuroanatomy. So now, whatever we need for innervation of the glands, we can get it from 7 and 9. Okay?
Okay.
So which glands do we have? We have salivary glands in the face, and we have lacrimal gland. Lacrimal gland is here, laterally and superiorly in the orbit here. And what are the salivary glands? We have parotid gland, which is here, is removed, is behind the ramus of mandible, under the mandible here. Let me turn my camera on. So here on the sides we have parotid glands, okay? Under the mandible here, we have submandibular glands, and under the tongue, we have sublingual glands. So they are salivary glands. They produce saliva. Do you know what is saliva?
Yes.
Okay. We have lacrimal gland, which is somewhere here, and then we have a small gland in the nasal cavity. You know what is produced in the nasal cavity is the secretion of small glands. And we also have a small gland in the oral cavity, which are here, in the palate and sides. Okay?
Okay.
So these are our glands, and for innervation of the glands, we need autonomic innervation. Like, you don't tell your parotid gland produce saliva now. When you see lemon, they produce saliva. When you're sleeping, you have less saliva, so it's autonomic innervation. We need sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers. Today, we just talk about parasympathetic innervation. So which nerves can carry parasympathetic innervation? For this gland,
7
and 9. Yes. So we should find branches of 7 and 9. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. We have 3 ganglions. So look at here. We have 3 ganglions. Look, in the pterygopalatine fossa, we have pterygopalatine ganglion, okay? Around the mandibular nerve here, we have optic ganglion. And above the submandibular gland, we have submandibular ganglion. So you should know the position of this ganglion. So in the pterygopalatine fossa, we have pterygopalatine ganglion. Here, around the mandibular nerve, it's almost on top of lingual nerve. We have optic ganglion. Above the submandibular gland, we have submandibular ganglion. When we say we can get parasympathetic fibers from cranial nerve, it means one of the cranial nerve, either branch of 7 or 9, they bring periganglionic. It means before the ganglion, they bring information to the ganglion, okay? Because they bring information, we call them periganglionic. And what kind of fibers do they have? Parasympathetic fiber. Yeah. So branch of 7 or 9, they are called periganglionic fibers. They go to these ganglions. We had 3 ganglions. After the ganglion, a nerve which is already going to that direction. It doesn't have to be branch of 7 or 9. Any nerve which is going to this direction. Which nerves are going on this direction? We talked about yesterday that they're branches of trigeminal nerve. So if it's going upward, it should be branch of ophthalmic. If it's going straight in this region, branch of maxillary. If it's going down, branch of mandibular. So branches of trigeminal nerve can carry these fibers toward the glands. So they call postganglionic fibers. Okay? Okay. Now in the pterygopalatine fossa here, we start from first ganglion. We have pterygopalatine ganglion. We need a branch of 7 or 9 which goes to pterygopalatine fossa. Do you know anyone?
Greater petrosal.
Very good. What is the pathway of greater petrosal nerve?
It goes from the ganglion.
So first, greater petrosal nerve. After the facial nerve, it goes into groove for greater petrosal nerve, right?
Yeah.
Then it goes to foramen
lacerum.
Lacerum, when it comes out, is here. After the lacerum, it goes to pterygoid canal. Where does the pterygoid canal end to? It was one of the connections of pterygopalatine fossa. So pterygoid canal ends into pterygopalatine fossa. So now you have greater petrosal nerve in the pterygopalatine fossa. So it brings periganglionic fibers for the pterygopalatine ganglion. Is it clear?
Yes.
After that, this we need postganglionic fibers. So from this ganglion, we get innervation for lacrimal gland, also small glands in the nasal cavity and oral cavity. Okay? If it is for lacrimal gland, what do you think? Which nerve is going to lacrimal gland? Branches of which nerve?
If the ophthalmic, it goes as
Exactly,
lacrimal nerve.
ophthalmic. But look at here. So branches of ophthalmic, they're here. Are they close to the pterygopalatine ganglion?
No.
So what happens? The fibers first, they go to the zygomatic branch of maxillary nerve. Zygomatic branch, it makes, do you see this fiber?
Yeah,
It's
connection.
connect from zygomatic to the lacrimal branch of ophthalmic. So zygomatic branch make a connection with the lacrimal branch of ophthalmic, and now the fibers can carry to the lacrimal gland. So what is your ganglion? Pterygopalatine ganglion. What is the preganglionic fibers? Greater petrosal nerve. What is post is zygomatic nerve plus lacrimal nerve, so they can carry fibers to the lacrimal gland. Okay?
Yes.
So what about for small glands in the nasal and oral cavity? What do you think? Which nerve is here in the pterygopalatine fossa and can carry information from this ganglion to the nasal cavity and to the oral cavity?
Maxillary,
Very good. Which branch of maxillary go to the nasal cavity?
anterior and posterior ethmoidal.
They're not branches of maxillary.
Sorry, zygomatic. No, wait.
To the nasal cavity. Olivia, I asked you today.
Nasopalatine. Sorry.
Yeah. Or it's also called sphenopalatine, right?
Yeah.
Which branch goes to the oral cavity?
Greater and lesser palatine.
Very good. So now you see, greater and lesser palatine nerve, they have two functions. They give sensory innervation to the mucosa of palate, one, which we talked about yesterday. They can also carry parasympathetic fibers from pterygopalatine ganglion to the small glands in the oral cavity. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. The next ganglion is above submandibular gland here. It's called submandibular ganglion. You see, a nerve is bringing periganglionic fibers. Which nerve is it? It goes under the tongue. What is this nerve?
Lingual.
Lingual nerve. Lingual nerve is branch of which nerve?
Facial.
Lingual. Mandibular
Mandibular,
nerve. So
sorry.
it's trigeminal nerve. Number
Right.
5. Can it carry parasympathetic fibers? Number 5.
No.
No. So what happens? Very important. Here you see a small nerve. This is chorda tympani, which is a branch of.
Facial.
Can it carry parasympathetic fibers?
Yes.
Yes. So periganglionic fibers, chorda tympani bring the fibers, but it joins with the lingual nerve. So now it can transfer the information or carry the information together with lingual nerve. Then you see the information are transferred to the submandibular ganglion. But because the ganglion is really close to the submandibular gland, you don't need a postganglionic nerve, you don't need a long nerve. The fibers, they go directly from ganglion to the gland. Okay?
Okay.
But what about for sublingual gland? So it's far away from the ganglion. So lingual nerve continue toward the oral cavity and can carry postganglionic fibers to the sublingual gland.
So submandibular, it's direct.
Yes, direct
Sublingual?
fibers from ganglion.
Sublingual through lingual nerve.
Exactly.
Okay, but lingual nerve, which branch? Number 5.
It's from trigeminal, yeah, mandibular, from mandibular nerve. That's why it's joined with chorda tympani.
Yeah.
for periganglionic fibers, right? So
Yes.
it's the chorda tympani that brings the fibers.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the third one. It's
Parotid.
here. Yeah, for innervation of parotid gland. Here we have a ganglion which is called
Otic.
otic ganglion. Okay?
Mhm.
In the pharynx, we go through branches of glossopharyngeal nerve. But now learn that lesser petrosal nerve, it's a branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. It leaves the skull either through foramen ovale or lacerum. So it comes out this is ovale, which you have mandibular nerve. And otic ganglion, it's here. So when the lesser petrosal nerve, which is a branch of 9, come, it goes to the otic ganglion. So it brings periganglionic fibers.
Mhm.
Parotid gland is here.
Yes.
Which nerve is here? Which nerve do you see? Like, let me show you a better picture. Like, wait, I found a mandibular nerve. I found a picture with otic ganglion. So you see it. You have a picture in your book, but I don't know why I can't bring it here. But okay, do you see this small ganglion here?
Yes.
This is otic ganglion. What is this nerve? Mandibular nerve.
Mhm.
And parotid gland is somewhere here. So we said periganglionic is lesser petrosal nerve, which goes to the otic ganglion.
Yes.
Postganglionic, it makes so sense that it should be a branch of mandibular nerve, right? Because
Yeah.
it's really close to the ganglion. So which branch of mandibular nerve is in this area?
Auriculotemporal.
Very good. Auriculotemporal nerve. So postganglionic fibers are through auriculotemporal nerve. So whenever they ask you about innervation of glands, for example, what is innervation of submandibular gland? And every time you start with the name of ganglion. What is the innervation of submandibular gland? Submandibular ganglion. What is the innervation of sublingual gland? Submandibular ganglion. Then you say periganglionic fibers are from lingual and chorda tympani. Postganglionic fibers for submandibular gland are directly from ganglion, but for sublingual gland are through lingual nerve. What is innervation of parotid gland? Otic ganglion. Periganglionic fibers are lesser petrosal nerve. Postganglionic fibers are auriculotemporal nerve. What is innervation of lacrimal gland? Pterygopalatal ganglion. It's also the same ganglion for small glands in the oral and nasal cavity. Okay?
Yes.
Did you understand?
Yeah.
What about you, Olivia?
Yeah.
Sure?
Sure.
Okay, so today, don't forget, it was parasympathetic. I don't want you to mix up. We do sympathetic another day after we're done with the arteries. Okay, if you don't have any questions, let's go to cervical plexus. We talked about sensory and motor innervation of the face. Now we want to talk about sensory and motor innervation of neck. So it's plate 32. It says cervical plexus. This picture. So we said, where do we get the nerves of our body?
Cranial nerve or spinal nerve?
Yeah. So when they're cranial nerve, when they come from brain, we call them cranial nerve, which are 12 and they go one by one out. From a spinal cord, it has a different story. So when they coming from cervical part of a spinal cord, you call it cervical spinal nerve. Here, thoracic, lumbar, sacral spinal nerves. And these nerves, usually they don't come one by one. They form a plexus. And then from these plexuses, you get branches. Now look at here. From C1 to C4, the fibers, they form a plexus, which is called cervical plexus. From this plexus, you can get some branches that give sensory innervation and also some motor branches in the neck.
Okay.
From C5 to T1, they form a plexus, which is called brachial plexus, and you get innervation for upper limb. Do you remember?
Yes.
Then in thorax, they don't form plexus. They go one by one, which are called
Costal nerves.
intercostal nerves. Yes.
nerves.
Again, in lumbar and sacral region, they form plexuses, lumbar plexus and sacral plexus. So now we're going through cervical plexus here. So do you see C1, C2, C3, C4? When the nerves go one by one out, the fibers, they join and they form a plexus, which is called cervical plexus. So cervical plexus is formed from C1 to C4, anterior rami of cervical spinal nerve. Do you understand the difference between anterior and dorsal rami? When the nerves go anteriorly in our body, it's called anterior. So they're going to the anterior side, toward the neck.
Yeah.
When they go backward, it's dorsal or posterior.
Yeah.
So now here is ventral rami of cervical spinal nerves from C1 to C4. Okay?
Yeah.
This plexus gives you 4 sensory branches and 2 motor branches. First, we go through the sensory branches. Look, here you can see from C2 and C3. Do you see? C2 and C3, they get a nerve which goes backward. So this is anteriorly, this is backward. So C2, C3, they give a nerve which gives backward. It's called greater auricular nerve. So you should know it's from C2, C3.
Okay.
Then again, from C2, C3, you get lesser occipital nerve. So greater auricular, lesser occipital. Now let's find it in the cadaver. Look, you see they're going backward. So these two, they're going backward. Greater auricular, it's the one which goes behind the ear. So this is greater auricular. And the one which goes toward occipital region is lesser occipital. What do? They're sensory branches, so they give sensory innervation to the behind of the ear and toward the occipital region.
Okay.
Also this part of neck. Okay?
Okay.
Then from C2, C3 again, we get a branch, but it's going horizontally and anteriorly. It's called transverse. It's horizontally cervical. Transverse cervical, which you see is split into 3 branches. They're called ascending, horizontal, descending. So look, it doesn't show here. Okay. This is a good picture. Look, do you see this one? It goes horizontally and divides into 3, upward, horizontally, downward. Do you see?
Yes.
This is transverse cervical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? What are these two? What is this?
Lesser
Yeah,
occipital.
lesser occipital, yeah. And if it goes behind the ear, it's called
Greater auricular.
greater auricular, yes. Then we have another branch. Look, this is from C3, C4. It's going downward above the clavicle. It also divided into three. It's called supraclavicular. So what are the sensory branches of cervical plexus? We have lesser. Oh, supercutaneous nerve of the neck. Okay, I found a good picture. It's plate 31. Here. Okay, look. What is this?
Transverse, the transverse
Yes,
cervical.
transverse cervical. And what is this?
Supraclavicular.
Exactly. So do you see they have different pathways? You can easily recognize them. So greater auricular and lesser occipital, here, they go backward and upward. Transverse cervical, it goes horizontally, and the next supraclavicular, it goes downward, and these are paired, so you have on both sides. Yo, okay?
Yeah.
So what do they do? Sensory innervation to the neck, so they're sensory, and you should know, the first three one are from C2, C3, supraclavicular is from C3, C4.
Okay.
Clear?
Yes.
Okay, and where, if you want to look for them, what is this muscle? Sternocleidomastoid.
Sternocleidomastoid.
So do you see they start from behind the sternocleidomastoid? So they're somewhere behind the sterno or around the sternocleidomastoid. Here, this is a sternocleidomastoid. It's removed. So whatever you see in this region, there are branches of cervical plexus. Okay?
Yeah.
So these two, is it a branch of cervical plexus? No. So you should know that these two upward, one horizontally, one downward, which is split into three. Okay?
Okay.
And they're superficially. So you see they come superficially. They're not deep. They're not so deep at the level of... So do you see here? They're superficially.
Yeah.
So if you cut a sternocleidomastoid, put it backward, then you don't see transverse cervical.
Yeah.
Yeah? So in this picture, you have... Okay. Then we have two motor branches. Look, from C3, C4, C5, but mainly C4, you get a nerve which is called phrenic nerve. This nerve goes down to the thorax and reach diaphragm. Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and reach diaphragm, it gives motor innervation to the diaphragm. What is diaphragm? Muscle of respiration. So if phrenic nerve is cut,
Bless you.
we can't breathe. Thank you.
No.
Yes. If the phrenic nerve is cut, we can't breathe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Olivia.
I can hear clearly.
What about now?
No.
You can't?
I can hear, but not so clear.
Is it better now? Yeah?
A little bit.
Okay, so now we're going through motor branches. From C3, C4, C5, but mainly C4, we get a nerve which is called phrenic nerve. Phrenic gives motor innervation to the diaphragm. So it does not do anything in the neck, but you get it in the neck. Where do you find phrenic nerve? On top of scalene anterior muscle. What is this?
Anterior
What is
vertebral.
this?
brachial plexus,
This is brachial plexus. So what is this muscle?
anterior saline,
Very good. And what is this muscle?
middle saline.
This is how you should find the scalene muscles. First, brachial plexus. So this is the scalene anterior. This is the scalene middle. So you can find phrenic nerve on top of scalene anterior. What is this nerve?
Phrenic nerve.
This is phrenic nerve. What does it do here? Nothing. From here, go to the thorax and innervates diaphragm. Okay? So this is the phrenic nerve. Okay. What is the other motor branch? Look at here. You get some fibers from C1 and C2. They form a root which is called superior root.
Mm-hmm.
And you get some fibers from C2, C3. So do you see C2, C3? They form a root which is called inferior root. The superior root and inferior root, they join and they form a loop. This loop is called deep cervical loop or ansa cervicalis. Ansa means loop.
Yeah.
Okay, so from C1, C2 you get superior root. From C2, C3 you get inferior root. These two, they join and form a loop. This is called ansa cervicalis. Ansa cervicalis is also a motor branch. What does it innervate? Look, it gives a branch. It says nerve to omohyoid, nerve to sternothyroid, nerve to, again, inferior belly of omohyoid, nerve to sternohyoid. What are these muscles? Which group of muscles are they?
Infrahyoid.
Very good. Infrahyoid muscles. So ansa cervicalis or deep cervical loop give motor innervation to the infrahyoid muscles. Okay?
Yeah.
But look at here. Here we have a nerve which is hypoglossal nerve. Where should it go? Hypoglossal nerve. Where should it go? What's the function of in hypoglossal nerve?
It's sympathetic. Carrying
Hypoglossal.
Parasympathetic.
That was glossopharyngeal.
Yeah.
Hypoglossal. What is gloss?
Tongue.
Tongue. Yeah. Is it a sensory nerve or motor nerve?
Sensory.
Oh my god. It's pure motor.
Okay.
Hypoglossal is pure motor. It gives motor innervation to the muscles of the tongue. So hypoglossal nerve go
Hello.
or toward the open.
I didn't hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay. So is it good now? Yeah. Is it good now?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see this nerve here?
Where?
Yeah? So I'll tell you later how to find, but this is hypoglossal nerve. So
Yeah,
look at here.
yeah.
C1, some of the fibers of the C1, they're carrying via hypoglossal nerve. And they give two branches which innervate geniohyoid. What is geniohyoid? Which group of muscle?
Geniohyoid is supra.
Yes, suprahyoid. And thyrohyoid. What is thyrohyoid?
Infrahyoid muscles.
Yes. So what is the innervation of infrahyoid muscles? Deep cervical loop. Except
Thyroid.
thyrohyoid, which is innervated by C1 via hypoglossal nerve. So you can't say hypoglossal. Hypoglossal just carry the fibers. It's C1 via, it means carrying through hypoglossal nerve. Okay? So geniohyoid and thyrohyoid are innervated by C1 via hypoglossal nerve. So cervical plexus, which is from C1 to C4, give 4 sensory branches and 2 motor. The 2 motor, one is phrenic nerve, which is from C3, C4, C5, but mainly C4, and deep cervical loop, which is formed by C1 to C3. C1, C2 give superior root, C2, C3 give inferior root, they form a loop. Where can you find this loop in the body? On top of internal jugular vein. This is internal jugular vein. Do you see this loop?
Yeah.
This is deep cervical loop or ansa cervicalis. Okay? Now, we did the muscles of the neck. Now we should go through innervation of muscles of the neck. Can you tell me muscles? So bring the list of muscles, put it in front of you. Okay. One by one. What was the first group of muscle?
Superficial.
What are the superficial muscles?
Platysma trapezius sternocleidomastoid.
Okay, so now if you just do it anteriorly, okay, we also did trapezius, it's okay. What is innervation of platysma?
It's facial cervical branch.
Yes, cervical. Facial nerve. What is innervation of sternocleidomastoid and trapezius?
Accessory nerve.
Accessory.
Yeah. Which cranial nerve?
Stent.
11.
11 cranial nerve.
Yeah.
What is this muscle?
Which one?
This. So it's in the lateral of neck. We said we have a scalene muscles, levator scapula, and this is a splenius capitis. So this is levator scapula, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You can find accessory nerve on top of levator scapula. So do you see this nerve?
Yeah.
This is accessory nerve which give innervation to sternocleidomastoid and trapezius muscle. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is accessory on top of levator scapula. Good. What is the second group of muscle?
Superior.
Suprahyoid. What are the suprahyoid muscles?
Mylohyoid.
Yeah.
Digastric.
Okay, so first, which nerve I told you last time? There is a nerve, it's called nerve to mylohyoid. It's a branch of?
Mandible.
From which division?
Posterior.
Exactly. So nerve to mylohyoid, it gives innervation to mylohyoid muscle, also anterior belly of digastric, because it's on top of this muscle. So it's going already to this direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's give innervation to these two. So mylohyoid and anterior belly of digastric are innervated by nerve to mylohyoid, yeah, which is from mandibular nerve posterior division. Okay, you know these two. Stylohyoid and posterior belly of digastric. They're innervated by
What?
stylohyoid and
Facial.
posterior facial nerve. What is left? Geniohyoid. What innervates geniohyoid?
We said no.
Exactly.
It's,
C1
one through
via
hyoid.
hypoglossal innervates geniohyoid. Okay?
Yeah.
What is the next group of muscle?
Infrahyoid.
Yes. What is the innervation of infrahyoid?
Ansa cervicalis except
Very good.
thyrohyoid. It's
Ansa cervicalis, except this one, thyrohyoid, which is
C1
via
hypoglossal
hypoglossal nerve, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have lateral vertebral muscles like scalene muscles here, which you get it from cervical spinal nerves, like we talk about them later, right?
Yeah.
So you just say from cervical spinal nerves. That's it. So whenever they ask you about motor innervation of the neck, first you should think which group of muscles you have. Then you can talk about motor innervation. Okay?
Yeah.
And now, so what is this nerve?
Is it the
What is this muscle?
hypoglossal?
No. What is this muscle?
This one is
Mylohyoid.
the mylohyoid.
This mylohyoid and anterior belly of digastric.
Yes.
So what is this nerve?
Is it the facial, the nerve to mylohyoid?
It's not facial, it's branch of mandibular.
Mandibular,
This is
sorry,
nerve to
mandibular, yeah.
mylohyoid, yes.
Sorry, yeah.
Hypoglossal, it goes under this mylohyoid muscle because it goes toward the oral cavity. This is hypoglossal nerve.
Okay.
Okay, I'll tell you again later. What is this nerve on top of internal jugular vein?
Ansa cervicalis.
Yes. What is this nerve on top of scalene anterior?
Scalene anterior.
Yeah. Phrenic nerve.
Nephrenic nerve, yeah.
Yes. What is this?
This is the brachial plexus.
Yes. What is this nerve on top of levator scapula?
It's accessory.
Yes. And what are these two?
Lesser occipital, greater auricular.
What is the function of these two?
Sensory innervation.
Yes, straight sensory. Yeah, okay. What is this?
This one, the supratransverse
Transverse
cervical
cervical.
and
And what is this?
supraclavicular.
Supraclavicular. So what if they ask you what is the sensory innervation of the face? What do you say?
Trigeminal.
What is the sensory innervation of the neck?
Cervical.
Sensory branches of cervical plexus, which are greater auricular, lesser occipital, transverse cervical, and supraclavicular. Okay, what is this?
This one, ansa cervicalis.
Yes, ansa cervicalis. So first you should know the structures, then find you should know this is brachial plexus. If this is brachial plexus, so this is the scalene anterior. Then on top of scalene anterior, so this is phrenic nerve. Okay? This is how you should find. So this is levator scapula, on top of levator scapula, accessory nerve. Okay, if you don't have any questions, let's go through arteries. Okay. When we say arteries, where should we start from?
Aorta, heart.
Exactly. So the arteries, they go out. Okay. So here, first you have, so here is heart. From heart, we have ascending aorta, which gives blood supply to the heart itself. Then we have arch of aorta, and then descending, which goes down to the thorax and abdomen. Okay, from this arch of aorta, we get 3 branches. In the left side, 2. In the right side, 1. In the left side, we get left subclavian artery and left common carotid artery. Subclavian, it goes under the clavicle, then it goes into the axillary fossa and goes toward the upper lip, right?
Yeah.
You learned late before, brachial, then divide into ulnar and radial. Common carotid, it goes up in the neck. So it's the artery of head and neck mainly.
Mm-hmm.
In the right side, you have a trunk. It's called brachiocephalic trunk. Then from this trunk, you get right subclavian and right common carotid. So what's the difference? Common carotid and subclavian in the left side, they come directly from the arch. But in the right side, they come from brachiocephalic trunk, okay? But in the neck, whatever you see, it's at this level. So you see everything symmetrical.
Yeah.
You see 2 common carotid and 2 subclavian. Okay, now let's go through. It's plate 34. It says carotid arteries. Okay. So this is arch of aorta, right? First we talk about common carotid artery. And you know the branches now on both sides they're symmetrical. Difference was just at the level of the arch, okay? So now on both sides you have common carotid which gives same branches, so they're symmetrical. Common carotid, it goes up in the neck. When it goes up, it gives a lot of branches. Do you see? Here. First, at the level of thyroid cartilage, so it's lower border of C3, it means at this level. It divides into two. It divides into external carotid and internal carotid artery. So what are the branches of common carotid? External and internal carotid. That's it. Okay? Internal carotid artery, it's deeper.
Yeah.
So do you see like it goes deeper? Why? Because it enters the carotid canal in the skull. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it goes up to give blood supply to the brain. So internal carotid artery gives no branches in the neck. This is also how you can distinguish these two arteries. So if you pull these two, the one with no branch, it's also deeper, it's obvious, is internal carotid. The one with branches is external carotid artery. So for blood supply of face and here neck, we get branches of external carotid artery. We put the branches into three groups because it makes it easier to find them. So you see 1, 2, 3 branches, they go these three. 1, 2, 3. These 3 branches, they go anteriorly. 1 branch, it's coming out from middle, and 2 branches, they're going posteriorly, right? Find these 3 anterior one. Look, this is common carotid. Divide into the one with branches. So this is external carotid. The one with no branch, this is internal carotid. External carotid gives 3 branches anteriorly. 1, 2, 3. 1 in the middle here. So it means you have to lift the artery a bit, then you see this artery is coming in the middle and a bit posteriorly. 2 branches, they're going backward. Look, 1, 2. Do you see?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, the first branch, this is thyroid cartilage. Do you know which gland do we have here?
Thyroid.
Thyroid gland, exactly. The first branch is at the level of thyroid cartilage. You should also know the level because sometimes these two are cut. So you shouldn't take this one and you say, okay, this is the first one. Okay?
Yeah.
So you should all level how they run. The first branch is at the level of thyroid cartilage and it goes downward. This is called superior thyroid artery. So it goes and gives blood supply to the thyroid cartilage. The first branch is superior thyroid. From superior thyroid, you get a branch here. This is thyroid cartilage. This is hyoid bone. Between these two, there is a membrane. It's called hyoid membrane. Do you know what do we have behind this thyroid cartilage and hyoid bone? We have larynx, voice box. Yeah? So you get from superior thyroid a branch which is called superior laryngeal. Superior laryngeal pierces the thyroid membrane and goes to the larynx. So we talked also about it in larynx. Okay?
Okay.
Second branch is at the level of hyoid bone. And you don't see the continuation of this branch. Why? This is called lingual artery because from here it goes under the muscles and go toward the floor of the tongue. Okay? The third branch is called facial artery. Probably you've seen in the cadaver, it's wavy. It's really wavy.
Yeah, wavy, yeah.
Yeah. It makes a hook around submandibular gland goes from base of mandible here.
Yeah. We differentiate it from the vein through the loop.
Exactly. So look. So what is this? It makes a hook around submandibular gland, goes from angle of mandible up, do you see, and it reach the face, and it's wavy. This is facial artery, right?
Yeah.
What is this? It goes under the muscle, then toward the oral cavity. What is this?
Lingual.
Lingual artery. This one goes downward above the thyroid gland. So what is this? Superior thyroid. It gives a branch which pierces this membrane. This is superior laryngeal artery. Okay? You can take some pulses. You know, here you have carotid triangle. Here. If I say I can take a pulse, it's pulse of which artery?
External.
Very good. Common is here.
Yeah.
So it's not common. Then it divides into external and internal. But which one is more superficial? External. So here you can feel the pulse of external carotid artery. What about here? It's pulse of which artery? Here
Facial?
Against mandible. Here you can feel the pulse of facial artery. Facial artery, when it goes toward the face, do you see it gives some branches?
Yeah.
Here it gives a branch under the chin. It's called submental. Here superior labial, inferior labial, lateral nasal, and then it goes toward the angle of the eye and change its name to angular artery. So whatever you see here, they are all branches of facial artery. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So they are the three branches anteriorly.
We
Then
can
you
see
get,
the branches of facial nerve, right?
What? Artery, you mean?
Facial artery, sorry.
Yeah, because they don't cut the skin.
Okay.
Yeah? Do they? Have they cut?
No, I don't think so. It's only the facial nerve.
But you can see the artery itself, so you see it's wavy and it's going toward this.
Yeah, we saw the artery.
Yeah. Then you get a branch in the middle here. This is called ascending pharyngeal artery. This artery goes up, give blood supply to the pharynx. Then it enters the jugular foramen and goes toward the brain and change its name to posterior meningeal artery. Do you know what is meninge?
Yeah, the brain.
Meninges, they're the layer that surround the brain, give protection to the brain. So ascending pharyngeal goes upward, give blood supply to the pharynx, then enter the jugular foramen and change its name to posterior meningeal artery. Then you have two branches that go posteriorly. 1, 2. One goes behind the ear, so it's called posterior auricular artery. Okay, and one goes to the behind the head in the occipital region. This is called occipital artery. Okay, so now behind the ear, which artery do we have?
Occipital artery.
Behind the ear.
Posterior auricular artery.
Posterior auricular, yeah. Which nerves do we have?
Greater auricular.
Greater auricular, which is sensory, and it's a branch of cervical plexus. We also have another nerve
Auriculotemporal.
behind it. Auriculotemporal is in front.
Yeah, in front, wait. It's from the facial.
Posterior auricular, which is a branch of?
Facial?
Very good, yes. Facial nerve. So you see, you have to play with the names. They're really close to each other. Greater auricular, posterior auricular, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then external carotid goes up. At the level of parotid gland, it is split, look, goes up. At the level of parotid gland, it is split into two terminal branches. The terminal branches are maxillary artery and superficial temporal artery. Superficial temporal, as its name shows, it's superficial. So this is superficial temporal artery. So which artery do we have here? Superficial temporal artery. Which nerve do we have here? If I tell you we have a nerve here. What? Abdullah? In front of ear. Auriculotemporal nerve, yes. What's the function of auriculotemporal nerve?
Auriculotemporal?
Yeah.
Sensory.
Okay, it gives sensory innervation to this region. Also, I told you another function today. Can carry postganglionic fibers from optic ganglion to the parotid gland. So innervation of parotid gland, right?
Yes.
Okay, maxillary nerve, it goes deep. Do you see this is maxillary nerve? It goes behind the ramus of the mandible.
Yes.
It goes toward infratemporal fossa and pterygopalatine fossa. So if the ramus is not removed, you don't see the branches of maxillary artery. But superficial temporal is superficially. It gives 3 branches. One, it goes, you see this is ramus, on top of ramus, toward the face horizontally. So this is transverse facial, and then it is split into frontal and parietal branches. So look, this is external carotid artery, goes up, split into 2 terminal branches. Here, ramus is removed. That's why you can see maxillary artery and its branches. This is superficial temporal, which gives transverse facial and then frontal and parietal. What is this artery?
This one? Wait. Is it the... we said it.
So look,
Posterior auricular.
it's external carotid, exactly. 2 backward, behind the ear, posterior auricular in the occipital region. This is
Occipital.
occipital artery, yeah. So now let me have a picture and ask you some questions.
We need to... do we have to know all the branches of maxillary artery?
Yeah. But mainly their theory. You don't have to show all of them because they're not visible. Okay? Okay, look. Here. So, what is this?
Arch of aorta.
No.
No. Come on, sorry.
Arch of aorta.
This is clavicle. You
Yeah, this is
never
clavicle.
see arch of aorta above
This one
clavicle.
break the...
What is this? So you see here you have
It's
one
the
goes
brachial
toward
one.
upper limb, one go
Yeah.
upward. What is this that go upward?
upward is common carotid.
Okay, so what is this?
Subclavian.
Subclavian. What is this?
Which one?
Here.
The...
So you see common
Aorta.
carotid and subclavian. Aorta is not here. Aorta is in thorax. It's somewhere here. So you see they don't come directly from aorta,
brachiocephalic
but
trunk.
They come from brachiocephalic trunk. This is
Yeah.
brachiocephalic trunk. So which side of body is it?
Right.
Right side. So here, brachiocephalic gives right subclavian. This is right common carotid artery.
Yeah.
Common carotid at the level of thyroid cartilage divided into what is this?
What? I didn't hear you. Hello?
What is, yeah, common carotid. Do you hear me? Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Common carotid at the level of thyroid cartilage divided into what is this?
I can't see. The scab is still on the screen.
Let's go and share it again. Do you see the screen?
It's not clear, like.
Should we call again?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Olivia is not connected yet.
Yeah.
Hey Olivia. Okay, so the sound is not good. Hear myself.
Yeah.
Whose computer is it?
Olivia.
Can you fix it, Olivia?
Huh?
Because we hear ourselves.
Lower the volume. Just lower the volume.
Oh. How about no?
Yeah, I think it's good. Okay, so comment Karoti.
Uh-huh.
No, it's not good. Okay, let's call again.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. No. Why did it? Okay, let me call you.
Okay.
Yeah? I don't know what happened. Have you changed anything?
No.
No.
So do you also hear me sometimes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about now?
It's okay.
Okay. So comment Karoti at the level of... It's not good, it's annoying.
Yeah.
What happened? I think someone's voice is high. Someone's volume is high. Yeah? Is it better now?
No. It's the same thing.
At the level of thyroid cartilage, it divides into... What is this artery?
You are not sharing screen.
Okay, so common carotid at the level of thyroid cartilage divide into two. What is this?
Internal carotid.
Yes, which gives no branches in the neck.
Yeah.
It goes up, enter the carotid canal, and give blood supply to the brain.
Yeah, meninges.
It gives the one branch which is called ophthalmic artery.
Uh-huh.
Ophthalmic artery, do you remember? It goes into optic canal. From first year, optic canal has optic nerve and ophthalmic artery.
Yes.
So ophthalmic artery goes to the optic canal and comes out from orbital cavity. It gives two branches here, supraorbital and supratrochlear artery. And you find them where you find the supraorbital and supratrochlear nerve. So these two arteries are the only branches of internal carotid artery in head and neck. The rest are in the brain. Clear?
Yes.
So in the face here, you have branches of facial artery. like submental, superior labial, inferior labial, lateral nasal, and here facial artery changed its name to angular artery. You have two arteries here, supraartery and supraorbital and supratrochlear artery, which are branches of internal carotid. Okay?
Yes.
Then we said external carotid gives three branches which goes anteriorly. The one which go downward, superior thyroid. Here, it goes under the muscles toward the oral cavity, lingual artery. This one makes a hook around submandibular gland, reach the face, and its baby is facial artery. In the middle, we get ascending pharyngeal artery, and posteriorly, we get posterior auricular and occipital arteries.
Okay.
Then it gives two terminal branches, which are maxillary artery. Maxillary artery goes deep toward the infratemporal fossa, so you can see when the ramus is removed. And it gives superficial temporal artery. Superficial temporal artery gives three branches: transversial, frontal, and parietal. Now I'll find a picture and add you some of the branches. Here, plate 23. It says superficial arteries and veins of face. Look at here. What is this?
Facial?
Exactly. And here you can see branches of facial artery. What are these two?
Supraorbital, supratrochlear. From
Are
ophthalmic.
the only branches? Yeah. What is this?
It's the the auricular one.
Superficial temporal.
Superficial temporal.
External carotid at the level of parotid gives two terminal branches. Maxillary artery goes deep. You don't see it here. It goes under. It's behind the ramus, right?
Yeah.
So here you see superficial temporal, which gives three branches. This is transverse facial, and then it divides into frontal and parietal. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now we go through branches of subclavian artery first, because you should also show them. Then we get back to maxillary because it's more theory. Plate 33. It says subclavian artery. Okay. So what is this?
What?
What is this?
Is it the internal?
Are we
No.
in the
Subclavian.
This one.
Brachiocephalic
What?
trunk.
Are you sure?
Wait. Let me orientate myself. And this is sternum. And then it's common carotid.
This is common carotid.
No.
What are these two? Look, it's not hard. It's not complicated. Common carotid, it goes up in the neck. So you know this is common carotid, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't see internal carotid here because common carotid divides into external and internal at the level of thyroid cartilage. So you don't have external or internal here.
Yeah.
So this is common carotid. Then this is subclavian, it goes under the
Yeah, brachiocephalic trunk.
This is brachiocephalic trunk.
Yeah, I told you. You said, are you sure?
But you weren't sure.
Yeah.
She said this is brachiocephalic trunk. Are you sure? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then you see this one. What is this?
This one?
Yes, this is left common carotid because it's coming directly from our so it goes straight upwards. Okay,
Yes.
so here we have subclavian artery. We put or divide the branches of subclavian artery also into three parts. What is this muscle?
Saline?
Scalene.
man.
NT.
Yes, this is brachial plexus. This is scalene anterior. What is this nerve?
It's the supraclavicular.
It's phrenic nerve.
Phrenic,
under
phrenic, yeah,
scalene
phrenic.
anterior. They have phrenic. I told you supraclavicular, therefore superficial. Right? You don't see it now. So this is phrenic nerve. So you see, subclavian artery goes behind the scalene anterior, then comes out from this side, goes under the clavicle, and then goes toward the axillary fossa. We divide the branches, we put the branches of subclavian artery to three parts. The first part is medial or is anterior to the scalene anterior. We also call it thoracic part. The second part is behind the muscle. You don't see it, right? It's called muscular. And the third part is lateral to the muscle. We call it cervical part. So look, the artery is this direction. Do you see me?
Yeah.
And the scalene anterior. So one part of artery is medial to the muscle. Call it thoracic. One part is behind the muscle. So we call it muscular part. And one part is lateral to the muscle. We call it cervical part. Okay? And if the practice, be careful. You they start from here. They look for the branches of this part here. No, it's going from medially to lateral. And the most important is the first part because you have to show all the branches. The first part gives you three branches. Look, it gives one branch, go down. What is it?
Internal thoracic.
Very good. So it is internal thoracic artery, and you learned in your books that internal thoracic is 1 to 6 anterior, intercostal, musculophrenic, superior, gastric, right?
Yeah.
So the one that goes down is internal thoracic. Two of them, they go upward. One of them, which is more medially and more deep and gives no branch, is vertebral artery. Why is it deep? Because you see, it goes to the transverse foramen. Do you remember transverse foramen of vertebra?
Yeah.
It goes to the transverse foramen of vertebra from C6 all the way till C1. Then it pierces a membrane which is between atlas and occiput. Here it's called atlanto-occipital membrane. So it pierces atlanto-occipital membrane and enters the foramen magnum. The two arteries from each side, they enter the foramen magnum. In the basilar part of occipital bone, they join together and they form one artery, which is called basilar artery. From basilar artery, you get blood to blood membrane. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So vertebral artery goes from transverse foramen of C6 all the way up till C1. Here's the atlanto-occipital membrane, goes to the foramen magnum. The two vertebral arteries from each side join the basilar part of occipital bone, form basilar artery, which give blood supply to the brain. Then the third branch, a trunk which gives branches. It's called, look here, tyrocervical trunk. Okay? So this tyrocervical trunk gives three branches which go to different directions. Look, 1, 2, 3. One goes medially under the thyroid gland. It's called inferior thyroid artery. So do you remember from external carotid we get superior thyroid? From this part of subclavian we get inferior thyroid. Which superior thyroid, superior laryngeal branch, inferior thyroid gives inferior thyroid branch, and look, there is a branch here. You see? You can check it also in the book. You see this artery here?
Yeah.
It goes all the way like this up. It's called ascending cervical. This artery runs parallel with the phrenic nerve. So sometimes they ask which artery can you find with phrenic nerve, parallel with the phrenic nerve here. So you can find ascending cervical artery. Okay? The next branch is horizontally and laterally. It's called transverse cervical. And the third branch goes toward the scapula in the suprascapular notch. It's called suprascapular artery. And it makes anastomosis. Do you remember from axillary artery low in upper layer? You learn circumflex the scapular artery. So circumflex the scapula from axillary make anastomosis. Suprascapular, which is a branch of tyrocervical trunk of subclavian. Yeah? So you have to find all the branches. First part gives three. One goes downward, gives the thoracic. Two go upward. One gives no branch and is medially and deeper. This is vertebral. The one with branches here is tyrocervical trunk. Gives three branches and they have different directions. So you can easily find gives inferior laryngeal and ascending cervical that run parallel with phrenic nerve. One goes horizontally, transverse cervical, and one goes toward the scapula, is called suprascapular. Clear?
Yeah.
So you have to find all the branches of the first part. Second part is behind the muscle. So if you want to see, you either have to cut the muscle or lift the muscle up and pull the artery. Then you can see a trunk. It's called, do you see this? It's called costocervical trunk. This costocervical trunk gives two branches. It gives this one, it goes deep, it's theory, it's not visible. It's deep cervical, and one goes here downward. It's called highest intercostal or supreme intercostal. Do you remember, maybe you remember, Abdullah, the first two posterior intercostal arteries? We said we get them from highest intercostal.
Yeah.
So we get it from here. These two, they give the first two posterior intercostal arteries. So from second part, we have a trunk, which is costocervical trunk. This trunk gives two branches, which are theory. We don't have to show them. Deep cervical and higher intercostal or supreme intercostal. Now let's go to the third. Third part has variation. Sometimes it gives no branches. So if you didn't see any branch, it's okay. And if it gives a branch, this branch is called dorsal scapular artery. Okay? Now listen. Dorsal scapular artery, it also goes toward the suprascapular notch. If it is present, then sometimes suprascapular artery can be missed. Do you understand?
Can you repeat it?
So you have variation. You either have both suprascapular artery from paracervical trunk and dorsal scapular artery from third part. So both of them go toward the suprascapular notch.
Okay.
Or you can have suprascapular artery, but third part gives no branches.
Okay.
Or you have dorsal scapular artery, but suprascapular is missing.
Okay.
Yeah, so you should check which on the cadaver, like which variation you have. Okay, very important to find all the stuff. And you see, it's not hard. They have different direction. If you know it theoretically, you can find it easily practically. Clear?
Yes. Yes.
So now let's go to the branch, to the maxillary artery, which is nasally tail. So let me find a place. Okay, 40. Look. What is this?
It's internal. External.
What?
External carotid.
External. Who said common carotid? Common carotid divides into external, internal at the level of thyroid cartilage. What is thyroid cartilage? Somewhere here. So it is already divided
Yeah.
into external and internal. And this artery has branches. So which one is it?
It's external.
It's external, yes. So external carotid here, we said behind the ramus at the level of parotid gland divides into two terminal branches. One goes upward and superficially, which was superficial temporal, and this one goes deep. This is maxillary artery. So do you see ramus is cut? Then you're able to see maxillary artery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Maxillary artery, it gives 18 branches. And we divide the branches into different groups. Which muscle do we have here?
Buccinator. Masseter.
Masseter is attached to the ramus from outside. What are these two?
You mean lateral and medial pterygoid?
Yes, they are lateral and medial pterygoid muscles.
Mhm.
This is lateral one, and this is medial one.
Yeah.
Okay? So you see maxillary artery here. So whenever you can see pterygoid muscles, you can also see maxillary artery. Okay, so now see, we divide the branch of maxillary artery into 3 parts because of the position of lateral pterygoid muscle. First part is here, is before the pterygoid muscle, lateral pterygoid muscle. We call it mandibular part. The second part is here, is at the level of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So we call it pterygoid part. And the third part is after the lateral pterygoid muscle. So it goes toward it. What is this fossa?
Pterygopalatine.
Exactly. So we call it pterygopalatine part. Yeah? So we have mandibular part, pterygoid part, and pterygopalatine part. Okay, now look at here. The first part, the mandibular part, it gives some branches. It gives it's called deep auricular artery. Where does it go?
Ear.
Exactly. Then we have anterior tympanic artery. Where does it go?
Also ear.
Yes. Then we have middle meningeal artery. Where does it go?
To the brain.
How does it go?
Foramen
Through which
spinosum.
foramen? Very good. The middle meningeal artery will go to the foramen spinosum and go to the skull and give blood supply to the meninges. Something important. Look, here you have a nerve which makes a hoop around middle meningeal artery. This is auriculotemporal. Okay, so auriculotemporal nerve, if they ask you, it makes sense around middle meningeal artery. So middle meningeal goes upward. At the same level, there is an artery which goes downward. This is inferior alveolar artery. It has the same pathway as the inferior alveolar nerve. Where does it go?
Yeah, mental foramen.
First, it goes into mandibular
foramen, then
give blood supply to the lower teeth, then comes out from mental foramen and change its name to mental artery. It also gives a branch which is called
mylohyoid artery.
very good mylohyoid artery. Okay, so you should find these 2 arteries in the cadaver, middle meningeal and inferior alveolar. So these 2 you can find, okay? Then here you have another artery which is called accessory meningeal artery. So these are the branches of first deep auricular, anterior tympanic, middle meningeal, accessory meningeal, and inferior alveolar. Then we go to the second part, pterygoid part. The branches are easy. The name of the branches are the same as branches of anterior division of mandibular nerve. Which branches do we have?
Temporal, masseter, and pterygoid and buccal.
Exactly. So look, you have deep temporal arteries, which are anterior and posterior. You have masseteric artery. We have pterygoid arteries, and we have buccal arteries. You see?
Yeah.
So the second part, remember, is the same as the branch of posterior division of mandible, and it's obvious where they give blood supply to, right? Okay, then we have the third, pterygopalatine. In the pterygopalatine fossa here, we had a fissure. Do you remember? What are our fissures? You know the connections of pterygopalatine fossa are very important. I told you two canals, two fissures, two foramen. What are the fissures?
Pterygomaxillary inferior
Yes. So
orbital.
here you have pterygomaxillary fissure, and you have maxillary artery in the pterygomaxillary fissure. Okay. It gives some branches. Look, it gives a branch which goes to the nasal cavity. What do you think? What is this artery?
Sphenopalatine.
Exactly, the sphenopalatine artery. Yes. It gives a branch which goes to inferior orbital fissure. Then to the canal comes out from infraorbital foramen. What is this artery?
Infraorbital.
Exactly, and like the nerve, two branches, anterior and middle superior alveolar. The next branch goes to the alveolar foramen, give blood supply to the posterior. What is this?
Posterior superior alveolar.
Exactly. It gives a branch which goes to the oral cavity. Give blood supply to the palate. What are these?
Greater palate.
Yes, greater palatine goes anteriorly toward large palate. Lesser palatine goes back to the soft palate. These are all theory, right? You don't have to show them. Yeah? Greater palatine is also called descending palatine. So if you see descending palatine, because descend down is the same. Then it also gives pharyngeal artery. And also gives a branch which goes to the pterygoid canal, pterygoid artery. Okay?
Okay.
So these are the branches of the and look at here. We said for upper teeth, we have three nerves, anterior, tibial, and posterior, superior alveolar nerve. These three nerves, they meet together and they form a plexus which is called dental plexus. When you have the arteries with the same name, they form also anastomosis together. Okay? And here, which artery is this one? In the nasal cavity, which one do you have?
Ethmoidal.
From maxillary artery.
The greater and lesser sphenopalatine.
This is sphenopalatine. And what is this in the oral cavity?
Greater palatine.
Greater palatine. Do you remember incisive canal?
Yeah.
So, sphenopalatine. Greater palatine, they make anastomosis here through incisive canal. Okay?
Yeah.
If they ask you how many branches do you have, but you have 18 branches of macular artery. And they're mainly theory. You should see on the cadaver which ones are visible, but mainly just these two, like in this region, they're visible. Like middle one and jaw and inferior one. Okay, so we're done with the arteries. Have you heard about carotid sinus and carotid body?
Yes.
What are they?
Carotid body. It has chemoreceptors, which sends the oxygen concentration, CO2 concentration, and
So look,
baroreceptors.
here, common carotid divides into external and internal.
Yeah, at the bifurcation.
At the level of bifurcation, we have two structures. We have carotid sinus, which is an elevation at the level of bifurcation on top of internal carotid. So this is elevation.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and we have an structure which is at the level of bifurcation but a bit posteriorly. This is carotid body.
Mm-hmm.
What are they? Carotid sinus. It's a baroreceptor. It is baro, it means pressure. So it's sensitive for pressure. It regulates heart rate. Carotid body is the chemoreceptor. It means it's sensitive for chemicals like CO2, O2. So it regulates the respiratory rate. Okay, so you have to know carotid sinus is a baroreceptor, it regulates heart rate, and carotid body is the chemoreceptor and regulates respiratory rate. Okay, so I have to ask you, like, are you tired or should we also do the veins?
Is it the same as arteries?
Almost, yeah.
So let's do lymphatic drainage. So tomorrow we do it faster.
Should we do it vein? Yeah?
It's up to you.
What?
It's up to you.
Lymphatic or no? We should do first vein, then lymphatic. So should we do veins?
Okay, veins.
So it's plate 70. It says veins of oral and pharyngeal region. Okay. We talked about arteries. So arteries goes from heart upward. And the artery is big, and it goes away from, as it goes away from heart, it gets smaller, and smaller, right? What about the veins?
The opposite.
It's the opposite. So they collect the blood. It means they're small. They collect the blood. It become bigger, and they go toward the heart. So if you learn the arteries, the veins are easy. Look here, which artery do we have?
Superficial temporal.
Yeah, which divides into frontal and parietal. So now we go opposite. Frontal and parietal vein, they form superficial temporal vein. Clear?
Yes.
Which artery do we have here?
Facial.
Look, Abdullah. Ramus is removed. We are deep. You see buccinator. You see pterygoid muscle.
Yeah, maxillary.
Here you have maxillary artery, which has a lot of branches. You don't have to memorize the name of the branches for the veins, but all the veins here, they form a plexus. They is called pterygoid venous plexus. So this plexus, it drains the blood from branches of maxillary artery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we have pterygoid venous plexus. From this plexus, we get two veins. These are called maxillary. Now, superficial temporal vein together with maxillary vein, they form a vein. This is called retromandibular vein.
Okay.
Retromandibular vein, it divides into two anterior and posterior division. Clear?
Yes.
Posterior division join with, what is this vein?
Posterior auricular.
Exactly. Posterior auricular vein, and they form a vein which is called external jugular vein. External jugular vein is superficial facial. I tell you how to find it. It's on top of sternocleidomastoid. It goes all the way down here. It's cut and drained into subclavian vein. Okay?
Yes.
Anterior division of retromandibular vein. It joins with facial vein. What is facial vein? So we said angular vein, lateral nasal, superior labial, inferior labial, submental. Like all the arteries now we have them. They form facial vein. Anterior division of retromandibular join with facial vein. They form a common trunk. This common trunk drains into internal jugular vein. I said drain into, it means you already have internal jugular vein, because internal jugular vein, it collects the blood from brain, so it's coming from jugular foramen all the way down. When it's coming down, this common trunk also drain into internal jugular vein. But external jugular vein is formed here. Okay? Then we go to the neck here around thyroid gland. We have some veins: superior thyroid, middle thyroid, and here we have inferior thyroid vein. You see superior and middle thyroid vein, they also drain into internal jugular vein. Clear so far? Then what happens after? Go to the page 474. So look. Internal jugular vein meet with subclavian vein, and they form a vein which is called brachiocephalic. We have on both sides. The point that these two meet where the internal jugular and subclavian vein meet, it means here. It's called angulus venosus. Yeah? The two brachiocephalic vein, they form superior vena cava. Superior vena cava drain into which chamber of the heart?
Right atrium.
Yeah, so it's in the right side. That's why the left brachiocephalic vein is longer than the right one. Yeah?
Yes.
And look, the inferior thyroid vein drain into brachiocephalic vein. So the superior and middle drain into internal jugular, the inferior one drain into brachiocephalic. Once more, frontal and parietal vein, they form superficial temporal vein. In the infratemporal we have pterygoid vein. This to get superficial temporal vein with maxillary vein and form retromandibular vein. Retromandibular vein divide into anterior and posterior division. Posterior division with posterior auricular vein form external jugular vein which drain into subclavian vein. Anterior division join with facial vein, they form a common trunk that drain into internal jugular vein. Internal jugular vein and subclavian vein meet at the angulus venosus and they form brachiocephalic veins. The two brachiocephalic veins form superior vena cava which enter the right atrium of the heart. Okay, so we do lymphatic drainage, fascias, brachial plexus, lymphatic trunk, like other stuff tomorrow. But you know, probably tomorrow you get 2 lessons. In the morning and in the afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's better like finish it soon, then you prepare better for exam period, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So we finish heading.
Right?
So we finish heading tomorrow, or
I don't think we finish tomorrow.
so after tomorrow's 2 lessons, there still have 1 lesson.
Like you know, it depends how it goes. Usually, like I need 6 lessons.
Mm.
So like because we have also oral cavity, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, you know. So we will see how far we go tomorrow. But we do our best to finish till 27.
Okay.
So till the day after tomorrow. Okay?
So tomorrow at what time?
Is it good same time? 10.
When the next class? Like in the afternoon?
Like in the afternoon, like at 7.
So can we make it at 9 to 11, then 7 to 9?
9 to 11.
What?
7 to 9 is
I'm talking about morning, 9 to 11.
no. Why?
Okay, no problem, never mind.
So we do it same time, 10. Okay?
Alright.
So go through everything, memorize the arteries, and go through ganglions, innervation, cervical plexus, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have time, you have to memorize everything. Also have a look to the yesterday lesson.
Alright.
Okay?
Alright.
So I ask you from yesterday and today lesson tomorrow.
Alright.
See you tomorrow.
See you.
And Olivia, what time today for thorax?
How about 6 o'clock?
6?